All right, guys, this is part 4 of converting my Epson 8550 to DTF. In this part, I will be connecting the hoses and the tubes to the CISS tank. So right now, what you see me doing is connecting the hoses to the ink tubes that we pulled out earlier. So all I'm doing is just connecting each one of the tubes, and it looks like this one right here is in backwards because I'm having a hard time pushing it through the ink tank. So, the ink hose. So that just lets me know that I need to flip it over. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take it out, and then I'm just going to flip it over to the other side. So that way the thinner piece or the skinnier piece is the part that I have to connect to the ink hose, because those the holes on those ink hoses are not as wide as the holes that are on the tubes. So I just flipped it over, and I'm just going to put it back in, slide it through, because it's so much easier to slide it through once it's on the correct way. So yeah, so that's why earlier in the video I was telling you to make sure that you put the thinner end on the outside and then the wider end on the inside of the tube. So that way it just be easier for us to connect it to the hoses from the ink tank. So that's all I'm doing. So it looks like I had to flip another one because that one was a little bit too wide as well. So I just flipped it over and then it just slid right on through. So just like that, I'm just pushing it on through the ink tank, well, the hoses, connecting those tubes. But yeah, so this really isn't a bad process. But like I said, guys, this is my first time doing this, so hopefully everything is going well. So it looks like it's going pretty good so far, though. But yeah, that one was a little rough getting on there, but I think I got it on there though. I had to take a little time to get that last little piece in, because I wanted to make sure that they were all in. And so I have all of the hoses connected to the tubes. All right, so I'm just pushing that back through. So now all I'm going to do at this part is I'm just going to push the hoses from the ink tank back inside of the little spots or those little grooves or whatever you call those little things where they were sitting in. So I'm just going to push them back in. I'm just going to use this screwdriver to help me just push it down in the place that they need to be. So that's what I'm doing now. I am pushing those hoses back down to the spot that they were in when I first picked them out or pulled them out. So I'm just pushing them back in. So just be careful when you're doing this to make sure they're going in the right spot, and make sure that you put those hoses back in the correct spot that they were in. So that way, when you connect them to the CISS tank and you put your inks in, they will match up. So don't just put them in any kind of way. You got to make sure that you put them in the correct order, in the way that they were when you took it apart. So make sure you pay attention to that in the beginning of how you took them apart and where each one of those hoses go. But yeah, I'm just making sure I line them up according to how they're laying out, and then I am putting them in strategically. I'm just not putting them in any kind of way. I am putting them in exactly how I took them out, because I have another printer and I want to make sure that the hoses are connected the same exact way, so the colors match. So that's why you want to make sure that each one of those hoses are lined up correctly. Do not just put them in any kind of way. All right, so we got them all in. So I'm just going to pull them off to the side, and then I'm just going to pull them under the little black hose. Someone in the comments in one of my other videos told me that was to the waste tank. So we're just going to pull all the hoses under just like that, but I still want to keep them in order when I pull them under that hose that goes to the waste tank. So yeah, so we got them in, and I'm just placing them in correctly. So just putting them in nice and neat. I got all of the 6 hoses ready for me to now connect them to the CISS tank. So we did all of that work. So in the next video, I will be connecting those hoses to the CISS tank. And then hopefully after that last video, we'll be done with the CISS tank.